Welcome to the Torchlight Network. This is Dave Horwedel. The purpose of the Torchlight Network is to interview business professionals and find out what they are doing to successfully cope with the COVID-19 pandemic and the resulting governmental regulations. Today we have Maya Weinreb on the show. Maya is the CEO of Solvency Bookkeeping. And so Maya, how is it going with COVID-19?
You know what? It's actually not going so bad. I've been helping all my clients, and more people are needing bookkeeping. So my company is actually expanding during this time.
All right. Is there what did you do to make sure you were able to expand in this times?
Well, when Corona first started and the shutdown started, I was very worried, and I was worried for all my clients because, of course, if my clients aren't making money, then I'm not making any money. So I contacted all of them to make sure that they had any help that they needed. I helped a lot of them get their numbers and bookkeeping together for their PPP and EIDL loans. Honestly, I have a couple of clients I can think of that probably would be out of business right now if they hadn't gotten that PPP loan. So it was very good. I helped them get everything together and really, held their hand and walked them through it so they were able to apply and then kept track of it so that when we apply for their forgiveness, they can have the whole amount forgiven. And I actually have all of my clients are doing okay right now. So they're all still in business. I also found out that more and more people were needing bookkeeping because in order to apply for these loans, they had to have their books in order. You can't apply, if you're an S Corp and you haven't had payroll and things like that, you can't apply for the PPP loan. So more and more people reached out to me needing help with their books. So I've been, if there was any pivoting in the bookkeeping world, it was really on making sure that my clients were all doing okay and they were all going to make it through this.
Well, that's very good. Yes. One of the things that I've noticed is that when you have a barrier that comes up to your business, you have to look closely and look for what freedom that gives you.
Yes.
And it's very, very common that if you look for it, you'll find it. So people, if they shut down because of the coronavirus, well, people have to get those loans, and they're also sitting at home so that they in many cases they're easier to reach and talk to. And I had one of my friends who he doubled his business. They were doing a lot of fundraising for a startup corporation, and they worked out doing everything by Zoom, and it was more efficient. They had these big Zoom meetings and everything. You just have to be very alert at times like this. So let's
exactly.
See. So you do full service bookkeeping, and I wanted to mention something else. You reminded me of one of my clients from years ago. He came in and he brought his little stick, his flash drive, and this guy was making $2 million gross a year in his business. And what he did, he had all these gaming machines that he sold and he repaired, and he was in Las Vegas. And so he had this bustling business going on, and he had horror stories on what happened on his taxes. It was, everything went wrong, and including he once went into a tax office, which was a certified public accountant, met with a guy there, paid him a bunch of money, and later on, the guy just ran off with the money, and it was the son of the CPA who was a junkie. So he had all these horrible stories, right?
Yeah.
And he brought this little stick in, right? He said, every day I spend 2 hours every day, all year, doing my invoicing for my business, so the bookkeeping won't be bad this time, right? So we took that in, and we had the bookkeeper went over it, and that little stick, that flash drive, was worthless.
Oh no!
So many mistakes made. We had to go back and redo everything, and it cost the guy some thousands of dollars. But wait a second. This guy who's making $2 million a year and is the only executive in his business. He has a secretary, he has workers, but he's the main guy, man. And he's spending 2 hours a day on bookkeeping. Now, if I hadn't been doing that.
If I would have been doing it, or my company, it honestly probably wouldn't have taken us 2 hours a day. It would have taken us maybe 2 hours a week, and it would have been done right. And when he would have given it to you at the end of the year, it also wouldn't have been on a flash drive. You just would have been able to click into his QuickBooks, and it would have taken you a few hours to do his taxes, and that would have been that. He would have saved so much money. And not only that, you know, I believe, as I'm sure you do too, that a business owner's time is worth thousands of dollars in potential income per hour. So he's losing so much money by doing it himself. He could have had another $1 million that year if he would have just hired somebody else and had those 2 additional hours to be able to, you know, do his sales or marketing.
Realistically, you're probably looking at a quarter of his time was being spent on bookkeeping. That was terrible. So if you added on 25% to his income, that would be $2.5 million. And out of that extra $500,000 in income, he could have easily afforded to hire. I mean, he could have paid. He's not going to. You could have charged him $50,000 a year, which you wouldn't, and it would have made him a lot more money. And so that's why, you know, people who are, you know, if you have a small business and it's right on the edge, and you know you're making $50,000 a year and you have to do everything really tight. Okay, maybe you want to learn how to do your own books and do everything because you don't got no money. But if you're
even in that case, hire a bookkeeper to teach you. Don't just try to do it on your own, because it actually takes longer in QuickBooks to fix clients' mistakes than if it would have been done right the first time. So I understand if you're still only at that $50,000 range and you want to do it yourself, but hire a bookkeeper to teach you for an hour or two and answer your specific questions and set it up right, you know, a QuickBooks Pro Advisor specialist, and then it'll be done right. And then at the end of the year,
you're willing to train people in bookkeeping so that they have some vague idea of what they're doing.
Yeah, I train people all the time, and it's just, and I'm also, you know, I'm a QuickBooks consultant, so people email me with just questions. And, you know, if they bought an hour of training and they just ask me a 30-second question, I'm just going to answer them. Like, how do I enter the blah? It's over there. Okay, great. So they get a really good, you know, what I exchange with my clients and what, you know, level of service they get for that 1 or 2 hours they paid for is quite a lot. They get quite a lot back out of that, and their books are going to be done right. You know,
yes, it is.
For them.
As a tax professional, you know, the difference between, you know, somebody who does the book right and what you get sent by some of these clients.
Yeah.
And, you know, quite honestly, some of the clients who don't have bookkeepers is like, I have to I'm polite, but I feel like I'm harassing them because they're always saying they're going to have it done next week. And they're going, well, we only have so many more weeks. And, you know, a week later, you know, and now it's like, okay, well, you know, you've been telling me for the last 6 months you're going to get your books for the S Corporation over to me. We got to till 15 September. You know, maybe you'd better take this a little more seriously, you know. And you know, you can't be mean to your clients, but you know, I'm very nice, but they know. They like, oh yeah, Dave, yeah, so I'm sorry, I'll get it to you. I'm going to work on it tonight. You know, it's sort of like.
Yeah, and I hear the same horror story all the time. My clients, before they hired me, once a year, they would take 3 days with all their statements and a pack of highlighters and not have any hair by the time they're finished because they're so frustrated and they hate it so much. And they would just go through and highlight all the statements, try to make a spreadsheet out of it. And then in the end, they would guess. And when they do it that way, they're losing deductions, they're losing sleep and hair, and they're probably actually, their taxes they're gonna end up paying more in taxes than they would have if they would have just hired someone to do it ongoing once a month. Even if you do the bookkeeping, there's some people who have me do their bookkeeping at the end of the year. They're still losing deductions because they don't remember what that transaction was for. And if they don't remember, it ends up being, you know, an owner's draw or a personal payout because they don't remember what it was for. So if you do it every month or even at least quarterly, if you're a small business and you just want to do it, you know, quarterly, you're going to save so much money in taxes just by having your books right.
Well, very good. Now, one other question for you. So now you mentioned you do full service bookkeeping.
Yeah.
I believe you also do like some sort of financial planning or their weekly thing.
Yeah.
So you do that. I haven't given you the question yet. Is there how do you help your clients increase their income, or do you?
I think that I do. I mean, it's probably individual, but I'll say this. So for my full service clients, we go in, we do their bookkeeping once a week, so we know exactly how much money they spent and exactly how much money they made. We pay their payroll and do all the payroll taxes, so we have all those numbers, and we enter all their bills, so we have all those numbers. So we will put together a financial plan. The first plan we put together with the owner, so we make sure that we have everything. We have the money that goes to reserves. We have the money that they need to set aside for taxes. All these things are, calculated into it.
Did you say set aside for taxes? I love you. I love you.
Yes, we have set asides. We make them put set asides for taxes. Now, I won't say that then they don't have a bad week and rob those set asides, but still. Because I think if you have someone helping you on financial planning, they should be trying to, and not in a bad way, because obviously the money is yours, but they should be trying to hide the money, right? So that when you get money in, you don't go, oh, let me buy a new car. It's more like, no, actually all this is allocated, all this is set aside, and here's what you have, and, to take a distribution on, or, here's what you have to pay payroll. And what that does, to answer your question, is it creates income demand. When someone says, oh, $10,000 a month isn't enough because it doesn't cover everything that I need to cover, how much money do I need to make a month to cover everything? And when you project that out with the set asides and reserves, which is a percentage, so it increases, it's like, well, maybe it's actually $25,000 a month. Now, in order to do financial planning with people, you end up being kind of a counselor and a hand holder, and lots of people cry, and because it's a lot to confront, But then in the end, they know their true numbers and what they actually need to be making, not the apparency of, if I make $10,000, I can cover my payroll. Because that's not actually true. Because then what are you going to do when you get your tax bill? What are you going to do when you get your marketing bills? So you have to put your set asides in and your reserves in so that you do actually have the money. And several times, like I said, there's been lean times recently. And because I had quote unquote hidden money into the different reserves and set asides, they were able to make it through another week because there was still money there that they weren't thinking with. So it creates the income demand, and it saves you on those lean weeks.
Yes, and quite honestly, I obviously deal on my side with a lot of different people, a lot of different tax situations and stuff. And, the amount of panic and stress and worry that people have, one of the most hysterical things that I experienced, and it aligns with what we're talking about here, is a guy who calls me up and he's asking, hey, can I deduct this? Can I deduct that? Can I do this? I want to save money on my taxes.
Yeah.
And they're going, you only paid $2,000 in taxes last year. If you want more money, you'd better work out on having more money, because you're not going to just, but their attention gets stuck onto their confusions, and they don't really know where they're going, and they have they have lots of things going on. And if they know, what they're making, and somebody tells them what they need to make and say, hey, maybe you should make some more money, then that would be there. I mean, I know that people who have a good idea of where they're actually at financially, they can do a lot better, because these guys spend hours worrying about it and chewing over. And it's sort of like, how can I save $50? Oh, is my check going to bounce? If good bookkeeping, and people need a terminal to work with, they need another individual they can talk to. And I think, you sort of mentioned something casually, how, all my clients are okay. Well, I don't think that's because they were all automatically okay. When you call them up and talk to them, might have been easy, but, had they not had their proper bookkeeping done and knowing where they stood financially, maybe they wouldn't have been okay. You're trying to, you're giving them foresight.
Exactly. And if they hadn't had their bookkeeping done for the whole year, they might not have been able to get it done in time to apply for the PPP loan. So I agree. And even just calling them and saying, hey, how are you? How are you doing? Really tell me, I think helped them a lot. And to what you were saying before, my mission statement for my company is perfect and complete financial records for your peace of mind. So I deliver peace of mind, because I think the number one thing that business owners are stressed out about is their finances. They don't know how much money they have. They don't know if they can hire that other person. They don't know if they can pay that bill, and they don't know what their taxes are going to be at the end of the year. And I give them that peace of mind that they don't have to worry about it, because the numbers are there at their fingertips. I send them their financial statements every month, their profit and loss and balance sheet. And if it's a full service bookkeeping, I send them their, AR and AP, which is all of their outstanding invoices and all of the money they owe other people. So they know with one look exactly where they're at. And it really does give peace of mind. And when someone, when someone's telling me all the problems and the things that they're running into, and a new client, and I tell them, okay, don't worry, I got you. We can handle this. You can see the relief on their face, and they're just like, oh, thank you. And it's one less thing that they have to worry about. And I know that there's so many things to worry about, because I'm a business owner as well. So if somebody said to me, okay, all of your trouble hiring a VA, like, I got you. I will get that, and they'll be perfect. It would be, a big load off my mind. So there's just different things like that. And the finances is the main thing that business owners are always ever worried about. So I come in and I say, don't worry, I got this.
That's very funny to me, because I do a lot of IRS debt negotiations, and I handle people who owe a lot of money to the IRS. My largest sum owed was about $2 million that I was settled for $75 a month. But and when he dies, the debt is gone, and all the real estate that he put in trust for his kids, they get it without any tax problem. But I deal with this a lot. And though, you'll have people calling in terror because they got an IRS notice of blah, blah, blah. And I have to be careful, because sometimes I'm foolish, because they'll say, well, I got this type of notice. And I'm like going, yeah, big deal. Yeah, that's just, you got another 6 months before you have to do something. But I've learned, I said, don't worry, we can handle this. But I don't tell them to have 6 months, because they might just take the 6 months. So, but you go over like, okay, no, this is simple enough to handle. Here's what I need from you, blah, 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 blah. No, there's nothing to worry about, blah, blah. And it's funny, the other thing on my marketing side, I named one of my sub firms or whatever, it's part of my thing, but it's called Guard Dog Tax. And its logo is a mean-looking Doberman, vicious-looking dog. And in his mouth is an IRS notice.
Totally.
So
clients freak out.
They have a guard dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have a hand holder, you have a translator between, you and the IRS, or you and your CPA. You have it, like you said, a terminal. You have someone there that can help you and can answer your questions. And I hear a lot of times, what was that?
People get confused and they desperately need a hand holder.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I really do for people. And I hear a lot of times that, their bookkeeper didn't get back to them, that the CPA never got back to them. It's been 2 weeks. So one of my company policies is that we answer all communication within 1 business day. And often, you'll get an answer within a few hours, but you'll hear back within 1 business day, even if it's just for us to say, okay, we're going to look into that, give us a few days, but you'll know that we got the communication and we're working on it. And even that itself is a level of customer service that you don't see in the financial field very much. And and that's what I want to be able to deliver to people is, excellent and perfect service. So it's not just that your books are going to be perfect. It's also that you're going to have a person there, and that you have this excellent customer service, which is easy to deliver with, Zoom and email and everything. Everything is instantaneous. So there's no reason you shouldn't have an answer, at least knowing that the person received your communication within that 24 hours.
Yeah, it makes a big difference, because people, when they get something they get something in the mail, or they realize something happened, and they're like suddenly worried. And if they can't contact someone, they get frantic. And just to back up your data, when I get a new client on who's been working with another CPA, an enrolled agent or whatever, they're a new client, the most common complaint. I said, okay, so why did you switch? Number one by no is like, he didn't take my calls.
Yep.
And that, that is just, it's amazing, but it's true. Anyway,
so true.
We're coming to the, I think we've had a good interview here. Is there anything else you would like to state about your business, or the viewers can see, that you might like to say before we end off?
I think I've said a lot, but in closing, I guess I would just want to say, I want to help business owners succeed. If they succeed, then I succeed. And I think it's a very good dynamic of having a purpose of helping people and helping business owners. And that's how we're going to help build the economy. It's just, every business owner succeeding in what they're trying to accomplish. So that's what I want to do.
Well, very good. Thank you for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.